This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2089, 10 Frugal Wedding Ideas, Part 2, by Jessica of Fioneers.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Today's post is actually a continuation from yesterday, so if you're new here, it'd be best to listen to yesterday's episode first. But if you're all caught up, let's hear Part 2 and continue optimizing your life. 10 Frugal Wedding Ideas, Part 2, by Jessica of Fioneers.com. Number 7, cut costs on hair, makeup, and nails. Right after Corey and I got married, we went to teach English in Nicaragua. Therefore, we had a great excuse for people to not give us actual wedding gifts. Plus, we're not really gift people anyway. For one of my bridal showers, instead of giving gifts, people all contributed money towards a gift card for the salon that we could use for hair and makeup on our wedding day. This gift covered hair and makeup for me and all of my bridesmaids. We decided to not get our nails done. Since all of my friends were coming from out of town, they stayed with me for a few days before the wedding. We all stayed up and painted each other's nails the night before. We had fun, created memories, and saved money by not doing manicures or pedicures. Number 8, don't hire a DJ. Since we're not particularly fond of dancing, we decided to not hire a DJ. While we did have some dancing at the reception, it wasn't the focal point, so we decided that creating a playlist would work just as well. A family member who was also the band director at a local high school borrowed the school's sound system for us to use for both the ceremony and reception. It worked out very well. Our reception was a lot of fun. We spent time with family and friends, walked through the gardens, enjoyed great food, and danced a little bit. Number 9, keep food and beverage costs low. If you include the cost of the rehearsal dinner, catering, the cake, and drinks, it can add up to a lot of money. The average cost of wedding catering alone is around $7,500 for a 100-person guest list. One thing that we did was to keep our guest list short. However, this was not the only way we optimized. Rehearsal dinner. Instead of going to a restaurant, we decided to do a barbecue immediately after the rehearsal on site at my aunt and uncle's house. We bought all of the food from Costco. Since everyone had come in from out of town, they were all on site helping us all day. So a few people put together the kebabs and other food we would eat for dinner. Catering. We didn't skimp on catering for the reception, and thus it was our largest expense. We hired independent caterers that served a really lovely buffet. The cost of food was about $50 per person, but since our guest list was on the smaller side, we kept the cost between $3,000 to $4,000. Cake. Neither of us loves cake, but we really enjoy cheesecake. Instead of ordering an expensive wedding cake, we served cheesecake from Costco. If you've never eaten Costco cheesecake, do yourself a favor and buy one the next time you go. The caterers put all of the cheesecakes on beautiful platters and even made a special berry sauce that people could drizzle over their slices. It was beautiful and cheap, and no one had any idea we were serving Costco cheesecake. Another family member made us a small cake specifically for the cake cutting ceremony, since we did very much want to smash the cake in each other's faces. Alcohol. Sometimes it seems like a wedding is more exciting because everyone's a little tipsy. However, we decided not to have alcohol at our wedding. While cost savings was a small part of it, the more important reason was that a number of people who attended were alcoholics. It was important to me that family members who were recovering would be able to come and enjoy the day. I also didn't want anything to go awry. Given that we didn't have a huge focus on dancing at our wedding, this actually worked out just fine. Since all of our closest friends had come in from out of town, we had been able to celebrate with them the entire week leading up to our wedding. If I were to do this again, I would make the same choice. And number 10, travel hack your honeymoon. People will often take a big honeymoon after the wedding. This often translates to high costs. I certainly love to travel and encourage people to spend money on travel if that's something they value. But we've figured out ways to travel for cheap or free. At the time of our honeymoon, we were finance newbies and therefore knew nothing of credit card rewards. We had a family member gift us the use of their timeshare as our wedding gift. We got to spend a fun week at a beautiful resort in Mexico. Our only costs that week were flights, food, and activities. On the way back, we offered to give up our seats on an overbooked flight. Usually, this means you get back later. To our surprise, we were put on an earlier flight on a different airline in first class, on top of being given $500 travel vouchers each. Your frugal wedding can be beautiful. When I reflect back and describe my wedding to people, they usually think that we were frugal to the extreme. They can't believe that we didn't serve alcohol or that we went to such lengths to save money. At the time, this just felt normal to us. Since we got married soon after graduating from college, we were used to living frugally and optimizing every purchase. Neither of us had a full-time job yet. In fact, we were about to move to South America where we would teach English and get paid $60 a month plus room and board. Therefore, every dollar we spent felt like a fortune. We had a frugal wedding that was so us. It was beautiful and fun, and it allowed us to start our life together with a financial cushion that helped us combat stress about money from the very beginning. Here's to many more years together. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled 10 Frugal Wedding Ideas by Jessica of the Fioneers.com. What's interesting to me in reading this article is realizing that in all of our conversations about marriage and our future, the actual wedding hasn't come up much until very recently. And we've been together for over 4 years. I think for us, the wedding is the least important part, and we don't plan to spend too much money on it. What we've actually talked about more than the wedding is the prenup. While the word prenup tends to rub people the wrong way, I just don't see how you can talk about marriage on a podcast about money without addressing the elephant in the room. In my opinion, if you own any assets, discussing the prenup should be part of any discussion about marriage. And it's not because I'm planning to get divorced. As I mentioned, I'm very committed to my Midwestern gentleman. It's simply an insurance policy because 50% of marriages end in divorce. And I'm sure none of those people planned on getting divorced when they decided to get married. When you buy your car insurance, is it because you're intending to get in a car accident? Of course not. But if you did get in an accident, you'd be glad you had car insurance. This is exactly how I look at prenups. While I don't look at my wedding day as the most important day of my life, I do believe that the person I choose to marry is the single most important decision of my life. This is the person I'm going to spend the most time with, who I'm going to make big decisions with, who I'm committing to support through thick and thin and vice versa. And the people we choose to surround ourselves with have the biggest impact on our energy and happiness. So you better believe I take the decision to get married very seriously. But the wedding? Whatever. And that's another episode of Optimal Finance Daily in the books. I'll be back with more posts for you tomorrow. So have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you on the Sunday show where your optimal life awaits.